risks to investing in Latin America are great. In Argentina, growth could contract over 1% this year. More and more people are living in poverty, and inflation continues to rise. And the state has a $56 billion loan from the IMF hanging over its head. Now, on to Brazil, which has problems of its own. President Jair Bolsonaro is trying to pass much-needed pension reform to save money over 10 years to combat rising public debt and slowing growth. Meanwhile, Colombia's oil production growth and reserves continue to stagnate as GDP slides to zero. And in Guyana, Exxon has made 13 discoveries since 2015 with more than 6 billion barrels of oil and gas, but it's still an unproven frontier with no track record of success. It is high risk and high reward.
While all our oil brothers are scrambling over every acre in North America and the Permian or whatever basin is hot, this whole southern continent has been left wide open.
James Park, founder and CEO of GeoPark, has invested $2.5 billion over 16 years in Latin America.
We really drew a basin map, sedimentary basin, hydrocarbon basins, proven basins where we knew the rocks had oil and gas and just hadn't been fully developed or explored. So we drew that map without any political boundaries.
GeoPark has over 1 billion barrels of exploration reserves all across Latin America, from Chile to Colombia and Peru to Argentina and Ecuador.
There's a lot of misconceptions about Latin America, particularly with respect to whether it's a welcoming or politically risky area.
And now the money is really flowing.
Vista has managed to channel a lot of investors from different parts of the world, from sovereign funds from Middle East, pension funds from Mexico, institutional investors from US, institutional investors from Canada, from Europe, family offices, so a big, broad range of investors.
What about China? Have you heard anything about China being interested in assets?
They have not yet shown interest in unconventional.
You expect them to?
I think at some point of time, China have a deficit in gas. So I think China sooner or later will get to unconventional, and they have a huge unconventional resource. So yes, I expect them to be a player at some point of time.
China's national energy companies will spend $10 billion of their upstream capex in South America over the next 5 years.
The Chinese, for instance, are partners with American companies in Guyana. What's needed for these big developments is capital, and the Chinese bring capital often as minority partners. So, I mean, I think they're going to be certainly going to be players there.
Another player is Saudi Arabia.
We are talking with them. Last year, I believe that was Vaca Muerta began to show that it's not a dream, but it can be a reality. Of course, we have reached 1,000 wells. That's nothing compared with the USA, but you know, it's the only place apart from US and Canada where unconventional oil and gas are produced in scale.
And then there's India.
We have a strategic alliance with India, the National Oil Company of India, which is the fastest growing consumer of oil because they see Latin America as the best place to be looking for oil and gas.
And this kind of capital and dedication has the potential to add more low-cost oil to the market.
We have in Colombia $4 per barrel operating costs and IRRs on our wells of over 500%.
The region has a lot of remaining potential from an exploration perspective, and at the same time, in some of these more complex technical areas, such as deep water, operators have made a lot of advancements in terms of bringing the cost down, and so that's made this resource more competitive. So from a returns perspective, I think that Latin America remains a really attractive investment destination for international companies.
For decades, Saudi Arabia ruled the oil market with 266 billion barrels of low-cost reserves. The rise of cheap and quick-to-market U.S. shale oil changed some of Saudi's power, and now Latin America could do the same.
Over the last 10 years, actually, Latin America has added more new reserves and potential reserves than any other region in the world.
When you look at, non-OPEC production, especially places like Brazil and Guyana, these will really be, underpin a lot of that growth in the future.
And for analysts and producers, it's not if, but when.
So as people see the political difficulties in other regions of the world, as they see security issues, as they find the difficulty and the cost of going after hydrocarbons. They will start to migrate more to South America. These basins, they've maybe only gone through one cycle. People think that there's nothing left to be found. You can go in, new play type, new idea, new formation, and you find a lot of oil. So we think the best place to find oil is when you're, standing in oil.
So give me a really big picture here. So if I was going to talk about oil production, I start talking about the U.S., Russia, and Saudi Arabia, what do I talk about in 10 years from now?
Well, I think those still will be the big three, but we'll see other production, more diversification, more players. It changes the importance of Latin America. Obviously, Latin America has been historically a commodity exporter and will continue to be a commodity exporter. I think it will be an important factor in global markets, but it will be really important to Latin America itself in terms of bringing the revenues and spurring economic growth in those countries.
And the prize is access to one of the best resources on the planet and the potential to export hydrocarbons all over the world.